Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, Karen doesn't like people parking in front of her house. You should say thank you for your service. Random mother mad I'm autistic on the bus. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen doesn't like people parking in front of her house. So, when I was around 6 years old, I lived with my family in a nice house in a small city in Poland. It was a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts, and pretty much all the neighbors knew each other. There was no sidewalks around the part of the street I lived at. Only one crappy sidewalk that started on the other side in front of my neighbor's house. It's important to remember that the sidewalk was very old and in bad shape. Still to this day people are asking the city to fix it. This story is about that neighbor, Karen. She was an older lady. Everyone suspected that she really didn't have anything better to do than gather gossip and disturb everyone trying to rule the street. Everyone was commenting that if you wanted to get the whole area to know something, you had to tell her that message as a secret. Whenever someone came to visit us, they usually parked their car in front of our property. But on bigger meetups, like barbecues or parties, people would park in front of our closest neighbors' houses too. That never was a problem, no gates were obstructed, and no one was disturbed. Well, almost. Karen hated when someone parked in front of her house. She would always run out yelling about how we dared to park our filthy cars on her precious sidewalk. My mother is not someone that lets someone yell at her. She had many discussions with Karen about the laws and rules that stated that she doesn't own anything outside her fence. Which means that the sidewalk is public and anyone can park on it as long as they leave enough space for a wheelchair to pass. That wasn't enough. Every time someone would come to us and park their car there, the yelling would start. Until one time when my mother's friend, Tomek, came for a coffee during winter. He's a local policeman and his specialty is road law. So my mother tells him about Karen and her behavior regarding the sidewalk. Tomek laughs since that thing was in such a bad shape that it can barely be even called sidewalk. When he was leaving, he assured my mom that he would step by next day for a coffee on his lunch break. Next day comes by and I was playing with my brother in the snow. We see a black car pulling over in front of Karen's house, and, as the driver gets out, Karen storms out of her house yelling, "Kay, you can't park here. This is my sidewalk. Get your filthy car off my prop." Well, there he was, Tomek, with his full uniform, hat and all, turning around towards Karen as comically as he could. Excuse me? You tell me that I can't park my car here? K, why yes. But this is a sidewalk open to the public. K, yes, this is my sidewalk. So, let me get this right. This is your sidewalk? K, yes. And you are the one responsible for taking care of it? K, proudly, well, yes I am. That's why I don't allow anyone to park here. Oh, that's so nice that I found you. Since it's your sidewalk, you are responsible for clearing the snow from it to not create danger for the people walking on it. Since it was not plowed, I need to write you a fine for endangering public safety, he says as he pulls out his note block. K, but no other sidewalks are plowed. Oh, it doesn't matter, the other sidewalks belong to the city, the clearing crew is working on cleaning them. But since this sidewalk is yours, it's your responsibility. K, but I'm old, I can't shovel the snow. Then you need to hire someone to do that. Of course, if this sidewalk happened to be of public property. K, yes, it's not mine. But a moment ago you were yelling at me that it was. So what is it? Is it yours or not? Because I don't know if I should fine you now. K, no, it's not mine. T, alright, seems like we cleared that up. Now, if you ever harass anyone like you did with me, it could result in a fine. So I recommend you watching out on what you claim to be yours. And then he proceeded to cross the street and enjoy a coffee in our house. Karen never disturbed anyone for parking in front of her house again. She would only stare at people trying to burn holes in their skulls with her sight. Ha ha ha. I like your friend. Well played. Yeah, it's very convenient to know a cop, especially if he is assigned to your area. So the parking Karens are an international sisterhood? I lived in 3 countries so far, there have been parking Karens in every single one. So yeah, you can't escape them, no matter where you move. Back when I was in college, we rented a house off campus and our neighbor would always put her garbage bins out on Saturday. Pickup day was every Tuesday, just so no one would be able to park in front of her house. She only had one SUV and it was usually in her driveway. I didn't think about it back then, but if our neighborhood had an HOA, we should have filed an anonymous complaint saying the bins being out early made the area look unsightly. I can understand if the lady doesn't want anyone parking there because sometimes household has a designated parking spot for their car. But it sounds like no one parks there anyway. For me, I had people taking up the entire spot in front of my house when there's room for 2 vehicles, so I end up having to park out on side of my front window. This would make me anxious because I had people look at my truck or inside it to see if it's worth stealing. So yeah, it's one thing to not want people parking in front of your house, it's another to claim you own the sidewalk. I'm pretty sure sidewalks are supposed to be shoveled by people anyway, not the city, because if someone gets hurt they can sue the city all because you left ice on it, and so you're indirectly costing them money for your mistake. Where I live, it's our responsibility to shovel the sidewalk, but we have the option of shoveling our driveways because only we park on them, so they only have to be clean if we need or want them to be. I lived near someone similar growing up, except she got mad at us kids for riding our bikes on her sidewalk. Even came to berate my parents one day about me being on her sidewalk. You should say thank you for your service. I just left this workplace a week ago, so I feel safe now being able to post this story that happened last month. I worked in a tourist trap that's smack dab in the middle of the entertainment capital, so we specialized in celebrity figures, made to their exact measurements. Our tickets aren't cheap and the only discount we offered was for military. My job is to cater to customers in varying positions, and that day I was at the front in order to sell and assist with tickets. Cue this guy coming through, and with my usual customer service persona, I asked him how can I help him. He asked if we do military discounts and I happily said yes and directed him to the counter where I can process payment. All the while it's CBT, I misheard as EBT, counts, and I just said yes because he mentioned military earlier, and print his ticket. All I told him after is that I'll just need to see his military ID. While he was fishing his ID out of his wallet, he just told me, you should say, thank you for your service, right? This just took me off guard that my coworker scanning tickets noticed me freeze and try to come over to ask if I needed help, and I just gave him the thumbs up. I blurted that I have mixed feelings, especially since I'm not a US native, but because I wasn't a native, I respect hard work no matter a person's position and her job, because I couldn't think of any country that's better than I'd rather be. Attempting to salvage the awkwardness, and he seemed okay with my response, but still carried an uppity, self-important attitude and showed me his ID. I already had the tickets on the checkout cart and pulled out the card machine, as I did notify him ahead that we don't accept cash, and not long after, the tickets printed and I just hurriedly gave it to him, to which he didn't even try to give it to my coworker to scan it and just brushed past him. I called him and said I just need to scan them quickly, as he was already walking his way up, but then he blurted about my coworker, at least someone's willing to do their job, and I just gave him the fakest laugh. I felt bad for my coworker after he asked what did he say? And I just told him not to mind him, to which he revealed to me that there was a way to reprint the last tickets, and I just felt worse, to which he just told me to cheer up, I had great coworkers. After my encounter with that guy, I can't help but mull because my coworker didn't deserve to be shit-talked literally behind his back, and I just wanted to keep him moving because He was tiring to deal with for the short interaction we had. The thing that I pulled over was his ID. I never saw a military ID like his before, wherein it had a paragraph written next to his picture, but it doesn't show what rank, base or unit he's in, because I've served people who had military IDs in the past. There were a few. First time was a woman with her family, sister, mother and grandma, and she was pretty sweet. She joked at first that because she's the only one with the ID, she might be the only one with the discount, as she was talking to her family too, but she looked genuinely surprised when I printed all their tickets with the discount, and her sisters seemed the most excited, and they all just thanked me and moved on as I told them to enjoy themselves after thanking them for purchasing. Her ID showed she was a sergeant. I can't remember if it was a 6 or 7 next to a letter, but as far as I remember it was high, in the Air Force. Second time were a couple of young-looking guys who honestly can pass to be twins with the way they're casually dressed and looked intimidating at first because they were just quiet, but they probably noticed my voice crack as they asked if we have ex-celebrity in here, until his other friends saw our figure behind the red stanchion and began fangirling like a teen boy, and both began just laughing and joking as they became more excited, and were very polite. One of them had the rank of private, first class, and the other was a lance corporal, both in the Marines. I guess it best explains their physique, putting gym bros to shame. None of them, but for that one guy, ever asked or told me to thank them for their service, and honestly, it's shit about military, what more their rankings, so I treated them like how I just treat our regular customers. I've never encountered any military person outside of that job, and I have to admit I can't tell if sometimes my autism just gives me a pass for folks to either be super sweet/endearing towards me, or they get super frustrated when I had to ask twice or thrice to repeat what they said. Curse my auditory processing disorder. Otherwise I just got burned out fast, and I cried when my coworkers hugged me goodbye because I had fun, but summer brought over more entitled people than I can share. My coworkers and managers were great, but the customers we get is just cries. Sorry for the long read. A lot of military members hate when people say thanks for your service. See, that's what I feared, but I also didn't want to further irritate that guy. I'm just a minimum wage employee just trying to help them out in the best way I can while not trying to escalate, because he wasn't the worst either. It was just the first I've had someone tell me how I should have treated military members. So I guess I'm still conflicted if I was an AH-2. Guy sounds like an insufferable douche. He was. Just telling this doesn't do justice how he treated and what he said to my coworker. If I had known we could reprint the last tickets, was 3 months in the job, I wouldn't have. Or rather shouldn't have stopped him to scan them. My guess is that he's not actually military. I was thinking that before you mentioned his ID looked off. As a former Navy retiree, I can't tell you how much those people get on my nerves. I did 24 years on submarines, and I just don't get what makes us so special. And I never know what to say when people thank me for my service. I would rather, and I know that all my armed forces brothers and sisters, just have you forget about it. But these dudes so entitled. In fact, I think that the whole military entitled person is entitled OB a whole new level than a regular entitled person. That's lame. That's even happened to me, and I'm literally in the military. Random mother mad I'm autistic on the bus. Been told I should share some story times of my crazy bus experiences, and this one is definitely most memorable. Hi, NB, am autistic, and I also suffer from misophonia. Because of this, I'm very easily sensory overloaded. I usually never have a good time on the bus due to this. I often get on one to get to college. When on the bus I wear my headphones and usually have a sensory tool with me. On this occasion I had a Tangle Blue. I also always wear my sunflower lanyard, and during this time an attachment on it asking to be respectful if I'm wearing my headphones, as I means I'm probably overwhelmed and may not respond if verbally spoken to unless I take notice. Search Blue Tangle Fidget if you're unsure what one is. I was sat 2 seats back from the priority seats as I didn't feel I needed them that day and was minding my business. The next stop entitled mother, gets on the bus with her son who looks about 10. The boy is minding his business, however the mother had already noticed me getting on the fairly empty bus and made it a point to keep turning around scowling at me. She must have tried getting my attention, however I never heard her and I saw her slamming her hand on the back of her chair and thought nothing of it. Eventually she leaned over and started clicking in my face. I was very taken aback by this and leaned back, sinking into my chair very overwhelmed. I slanted my headphones so one ear was exposed. The following conversation happened. S. Me, EM entitled mother, C. poor son, BD bus driver, RP random person. S. Is everything okay? Please don't do that. EM huffed, why do you have that? Poked me kind of hard in the stomach where the tangle now was. S. Upset, leave me alone. I put my headphones back on, she grabbed my headphone and moved it back. EM, my son needs it, not you. S. Excuse me? C. Mom, what are you doing? EM, shut up. To C. You heard me, what are you, deaf? You don't need that, it's probably not even yours, you are word, it's blue, you're a girl. S. Taken aback and beginning to laugh at this stupidity, what are you talking about? And no, I'm not deaf, how can you be so ignorant? Yes, this is mine, thank you, I bought it with my own money, and also not a girl, but that doesn't matter regardless. M. Oh my god, you're a freak, there's a R word on this bus, oh my god, she's going to infect us. C. I'm so sorry about her. S. Nah, it's all good, but girl, what is wrong with you? Can you please stop bothering me and do not touch me again as I'm putting my headphones back on. EM, give me it, you don't even need it. S. What? C. Mom, stop already. EM, that toy, I know you're a R word, but you're not a kid. S. Actually, it's not a toy, it's a sensory tool. I'm autistic and it's helping me regulate my emotions because I'm very overwhelmed right now thanks to you, and I must rather not have a meltdown. EM, I don't care, give me it, for my son. BD, can you keep the noise down please, there is a baby on the bus. I ignore EM and shift so I'm very comically facing the window. EMU grabs it out of my hand, I yelp in pain because she had fake nails on and they scratched me. Look what I got for you, baby, to see. RP, what is wrong with you, lady? BD pulling over, what is going on? EM, she is threatening me and my son and stole his toy. I'm shaking and holding my headphones onto my ears because I'm very overwhelmed now from the shouting and being touched and scratched. RPO, shut up, everyone heard what you were saying to this poor kid, I literally just watched you, you knob. BD, listen, if you don't calm down I'm kicking you all off the bus. Looks at me, hey, are you alright? S asterisk, I nodded my head and put a finger up meaning I needed a moment asterisk. RP, just give her the tool, I think she called it back. BD, listen, I'm going to have to kick you both off if this isn't sorted in a moment, but one of you will be so who stole it. RP2, one with the pram, oh my god, can you just give her the thing back? I got an appointment to get to Slag. Yes, they had a Scouse accent. Simon, just give it up already. EM, but they don't need it. Turning to me, selfish brat, throws it on the seat next to me. BD, ma'am, I'm gonna have to ask you to get off the bus. M, what? No, my stop is next. BD asterisk shrugs. I asked if it was possible for them to stay to the next stop because I felt bad for the kid. I moved, they got off next stop, bus driver and strangers made sure I was okay. Very memorable experience with an entitled person. First of all, I'm so sorry this happened to you. As an autistic person with similar struggles, I get how challenging this was. Which brings me on to my next point. I am so proud of you. You managed to keep yourself from going into a meltdown, advocated and stood up for yourself, and then also still chose kindness to a woman who was truly awful. Yes, it was mainly for the sake of her son, but still. You did amazing. I'm so sorry that awful experience happened to you. I hope you never meet that person ever again. Did she just want to steal your stuff in broad daylight? Is that what it was about? Ask for police next time, immediately. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.